Ladies and gentlemen, this is bullshit. This is one of the many nonsensical deflections made by people like this to distract you from the fact that they're too pussy to admit they're racist. Which is strange given Twitter now allows racism of all kinds. Perhaps this parrot is under some sort of illusion that they will amount to anything more than a troll on the internet and is afraid for his future prospects. Perhaps that's why he's committed to the grift and is trying to build a following with it, which is one of the easiest things to do in 2024. But it's no coincidence that he is an acolyte of geeks and gamers, one of the laziest and hilariously bad at his job grifters in this space. This is a new series, one that I've been meaning to make for a long time. Grifters have overrun internet media discourse, and their parrots are only growing in numbers, spreading bad terminology and false narratives. Maybe it's my limited perception, but it seems like no one has the balls or the ability to stand up to this nonsense, so I guess it's going to have to be me. So let's start with this parrot and his stupid-ass tweet. And you're probably wondering why I keep saying the word parrot. It might be somewhat intuitive, but it's a term I'm coining to specifically refer to people that parrot grifter talking points, which is what this video is about. You know, those that use the word woke, complain about diversity, and use deflections like the one I'm about to debunk. Like a parrot, these people do not have original thoughts and simply repeat what they heard someone smarter say, and cannot formulate original speech as they don't actually understand what it is they're saying. That's why they're parrots. And as an aside, I don't know this dude. I first became aware of their existence today, and after a bit of research, I can confirm that he is, of course, a parrot. But again, this video isn't really about him specifically, but about a deflection commonly used by parrots. So on to the stupidity that is this tweet. As I mentioned on Twitter, this is nothing more than the same deflection they use when people accuse them of being sexist. You'll constantly hear about Ripley from Alien or Sarah Connor from Terminator 2. And specifically Terminator 2, because had they actually watched the first Terminator, they'd know Sarah was a damsel in distress in that first movie. But I suppose that's okay, because a white man was the hero in that film. These people know damn well had the exact same Terminator 2 come out in 2024, they'd call Sarah in that film woke too. You know, because badass women always means the message. Similarly, if these two characters were created today, they would also be subject to racial epithets and harassment over their inclusion. Because of course they would. And they were. These are Billy D's own words.
Nearly everywhere I went, fans harangued me for portraying Han Solo. I got dirty looks on airplanes. How could you? A flight attendant scolded. At the grocery store, a man shopping with his teenage son looked at me with disgust. I should put you in the deep freeze, he said, as his son nodded in agreement. The harshest reaction came on the playground at my daughter's school. In the afternoon, as I waited in the courtyard to pick her up, parents scowled at me. Then after the bell rang, I got the same treatment from Hanako's friends. Mr. Williams, you sold out Han Solo. Why'd you do that? Now Han Solo's dead. It was laughable until it wasn't, until I sensed the black-white thing might be brewing. That's when I took a step back, put up my hands, and told people to wait a minute before they criticized me any further. I guess I had done a convincing job playing Lando as a dubious character.
So why would the guy you're attempting to use as a shield from accusations of racism also suggest he received racist backlash for simply playing a character in a movie? Starting to seem more like using Lando only works when you forget there was no social media back in the 80s, huh? Staying in this same universe, John Boyega documented his experience with these people before The Force Awakens even released.
And so much racism thrown at her.
I saw that.
But Disney was there. They had a plan. And it seemed like, oh, Disney learned along the way to have a plan for these sort of things to happen.
Yeah.
When it happened to you, I don't think there was a game plan. I don't think they saw it coming.
Man, that's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. But that's the piece that I felt. Moses Ingram being protected makes me feel protected. Do you understand what I'm saying? It makes me feel like, okay, cool, I am not the elephant in the room. Because when I started, it wasn't really a conversation you could bring up. You know how they went through it. It was kind of
I
like,
know.
let's just be silent.
Oh,
It
he's
wasn't
bringing this up again.
Yeah, it wasn't a conversation you could bring up. But now to see how blatant it is, to see Ewan McGregor come and support is it for me fulfills my time where I didn't get the support. It doesn't make me feel bitter at all. It makes me feel like sometimes you're that guy, and my dad taught me that. Sometimes you're not the guy to get the blessing. Sometimes you're Moses. You lead the people to the mountain, but you see the destination. You don't get to go in. You get others to go in, and that's where you get your happiness from.
But I suppose he was lying about his experience too, because according to the fools under this tweet, most people love John's inclusion in episode 7, right? Because the person that actually went through that experience knows less than random Twitter trolls that have a vested interest in proving they're not racist, and that anyone that criticizes these films before they even release aren't racist either. But then these people are simply refuted by King Grift himself with tweets like these. I want you to take a hard look at this photograph and then look at the tweet. The cynical grifter has not seen this movie. No one has. And yet he's already made up his mind that this is a problem. Because otherwise there's no point to this tweet. If he's not saying this image is an issue, then he's saying modern filmmaking isn't an issue. And we all know he doesn't believe that. So what could possibly be the problem with this photograph? Oh, damn. It's the black woman in the foreground, isn't it? I mean, because if it isn't, you've got 3 other humans in the picture, each of them relatively innocuous. Unless you count the Hawaiian dude in the silly costume, because the glam rock aesthetic wasn't a thing in the past ever, and it's something modern filmmakers for the Minecraft movie made up in 2024, apparently. And clearly his problem can't be the straight white male protagonist or the normal-looking white woman in the background, so clearly his issue is the fat black woman. But how does cynical grifter not know this woman was the best person for the job? I'm not naive. I understand the answer to that question will be more euphemisms and conspiracy theories like DEI, but that's not an answer to my question. I'm asking, how does he know? Why can't she be the Mace Windu and Lando Calrissian of this movie? How does he know? There are many examples of these kinds of people judging something in this manner before they've even experienced that piece of media, and that's due to grifters teaching people this is how you view media. Once the parrots saw that Ubisoft was creating a game with the character Yasuke, it became the worst thing ever. When criticized for their hasty takes, the deflections flew at light speed, saying that Yasuke was replacing Japanese male characters. As if these parrots and grifters actually care about this, and that this was the developers being woke again. But I'm curious, is this not a fictional series? Doesn't fiction imply that the story can be whatever whoever is creating it wants it to be? How is a story you haven't even experienced yet woke in the first place? How do you know he won't be the Mace Windu and Lando Calrissian of Assassin's Creed? So you want to tell me again that black characters simply existing in today's media wouldn't draw the ire of the worst people on the internet? I'm sorry, I don't believe you, because you have consistently shown us why we shouldn't. You wish that black people stay relegated to side character status, which is why you're praising one of the antagonists of Episode 5 and the actor that is not playing Obi-Wan or Anakin in the prequel trilogy. But when Miles Morales is on screen, you twist yourselves into pretzels, coming up with excuse after excuse for why you refuse to call him Spider-Man, hiding behind lies like, we're just trolling, or they're sidelining legacy characters.
Feeling that the script is doing everything in its power to play down Peter Parker, like it's afraid the audience will somehow start rooting for him over Miles if he's shown to be too capable and confident. The first movie portrayed him as an aging, burned out loser who only redeems himself at the end, while the second film morphs him into a bumbling, hapless father in a pink bathrobe who for some reason keeps taking his baby along on life-threatening adventures despite having a perfectly capable mother at home to look after it. Is this some weird attempt to mock and belittle the Spider-Man that most people know and love, who incidentally just happens to be the only straight white man in the entire movie? I don't know, man, it just kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth, that's all.
But you never seem to do this to Wally West, Scott Lang, or Damian Wayne. I wonder why that is. True to form, you people don't know what the words legacy character even mean. You seem to believe this refers to the original character that held the mantle, but it actually refers to the new character that holds the mantle. Miles Morales is a legacy character. Because that's what those words mean. And speaking of what words mean, I seriously tire of you people using the word woke. Woke does not mean diversity and people that promote diversity. Woke is Black American slang. It is a corruption of the word awake, and that being the case, it means being aware. You know, like when you're awake. More specifically, it means being aware of racial prejudice and discrimination, and was coined by Black Americans in the 1930s, back when racism was as open in public as it is on Twitter today. So you see, being that you people believe you are pointing out discrimination against white people, technically, you are woke. And because you're speaking Ebonics, you are literally that which you hate. Congratulations, you played yourselves. And I can see the parrots getting ready to type words to the effect of, well, words change and can mean different things. Interestingly, these are the same people that don't want the word woman to refer to trans women and say that words like cis don't mean anything. And look, I'm not a trans activist, so this is not my fight, but it is a bit of amusing cognitive dissonance, wouldn't you say? So parrots, let's stop with the deflections. You're not fooling anyone with the internet version of, but I have black friends. We see through these tired excuses you people come up with to hide how you really feel. No amount of, but they're poorly written, will mask the fact that what you actually want to say is stop including black heroes and characters into my white escapism. Because that's all we hear every time you say this shit. How's that for a message?